Welcome back to my prison series. This is episode 69, and today we are going to be talking about the food in prison, but we're going to be talking about the disgusting truth behind prison food in America. So, the United States imprisons more people than any other country in the world, people. In fact, in 2014, over 1.5 million people sat in federal and state prisons. So it's no wonder states struggle to cover costs to maintain prisons and prisoners. That's why states started, I guess they're just trying to cut costs, people. They just started, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you're in prison, you can only literally tolerate it. Okay, so those of you who are new to my channel, don't forget to like the video and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to check out the rest of my prison series, as well as my newest series about Friday the 13th, my death series, and my husband, the husband murdered his wife series. That is a new series that you will want to check out too, and that premieres tomorrow. But okay, so one of the most well-known private outsourcer companies, RMAC, holds multi-million-dollar contracts with a handful of states and countries overseas. RMAC provides food, clothing, commissary goods, and similar things to over 600 correctional facilities at a cheap price. Some states saving as much as $14 million per year, but is cheaper better? That's the question, right, people? I think we all know the answer to that. No. Okay, so in 2009, Kentucky North Point prisoners started a riot at RMAC's food in which several buildings burned, and they said still, just a few years later, in 2013, Michigan signed a 3-year, $145 million contract with the same company to provide same service, promising things have changed, and they didn't. Okay, so years following the signing, American Civil Liberties Union found RMAC in violation of shorting inmates' food, having unsanitary cooking and serving areas, and serving food contaminated with maggots and mice. RMAC knowingly served rotten meat, ordered inmates to serve food pulled from the garbage, handed out food on which rats nibbled, and served moldy food. According to this article found in the Michigan House of Representatives website, besides serving tainted food, RMAC employees were found smuggling drugs and other contraband inside, engaging in XX acts, and even working as hired hitmen. That's just in Michigan, though. RMAC was fined a meager $86,000 for making unauthorized meal substitutions and not preparing the correct number of meals. Okay, so also RMAC was never forced to pay, but this was later charged $200,000. Okay, so they changed and charged them later. Okay, so Michigan ended up terminating their contract with RMAC in 2015, 18 months before their contract had expired. RMAC didn't blink an eye, considering they overbilled Michigan, Kentucky, and Pennsylvania, to name a few. It's no wonder that in 2014, private correctional facilities became a $4.8 billion industry on the taxpayers' dime. Okay, so let's talk about the commissary. RMAC is responsible for food shortages, contaminated food, and many other horrendous health violations. So it's no wonder why prisoners turn to commissary to fill up their stomachs. But the same company practically starving prisoners is the one providing goods in commissary. Yes, prisoners are forced to buy food from the same company depriving them. The matter of fact is, prisoners are trying to buy toothpaste and toilet paper and feed themselves on the salary of a prison job that only pays $25 a month. Since money is prohibited and cigarettes were banned in penitentiaries, commissary goods have become currency in prison. Okay, So, it's sad, people, you know. At some penitentiaries, commissary goods are sold at a lower price than they would be in stores. This might be why it's easy for prisoners to make concoctions like Oreo cookie cake, sweet and sour pork, cheesy noodles, and even tamales. However, these recipes are a lot different than how you would make it at home. The main base to any recipe usually starts with ramen noodles. Just take a look at this prisoner's cookbook and see for yourself. Okay, wow, people. Wow. Okay, so they said a cup of coffee with a pack of hot chocolate added to it. I guess they're trying to say how they whip up something. Sounds like a shabby way to make a mocha, but it's the norm here. Cheese sauce is pretty easy to make. Mix and boil water with crumbled nacho cheese Doritos. These are just a few recipes in the jailhouse recipe cookbook. You could even start to miss chicken nuggets before being on the inside, but prisoners make a similar version by wrapping ramen mush around summer sausage and cooking the nuggets in the microwave until they're brown. Among the most coveted recipes in prison might be pruno, aka prison wine, is made by fermenting fruit cocktail, sugar cubes, ketchup, and slices of bread, yeast together in a warm bag. Prisoners beat all the ingredients together, and they said after a week the mixture is ready to drink. I don't think it tastes as good as they want to act like. So, prison food is no joke, and with almost no regulation, inhuman. Okay, so Nutriloaf, aka disciplinary loaf. The loaf is given to inmates who act out or misbehave. Like in Orange, in the new black inmates are given the loaf, and they said new loaf can be made multiple ways. Pennsylvania makes it with potatoes, cabbage, and margarine. But in some states, dinner from the day before is just thrown together and baked. It's considered nutritionally complete since it includes the prisoner's required number of calories. Prisoners are usually fed Nutriloaf days, sometimes weeks at a time. For every meal, Jeff Ruby, dining critic, described Nutriloaf as tasting neutral and being thick. Aftermath of something you dissect in biology class. Okay. That's crazy. I'm skimming through. Using food as punishment seems unethical, which is why critics of Nutriloaf call it cruel and unusual punishment. In December of 2015, New York decided to end the use of Nutriloaf in its state prisons, but hundreds of other prisons around the country still continue to use Nutriloaf to unruly prisoners. It remains legal since there is no law stating prison food must be aesthetically pleasing. If you learn one thing here, it's that prison food is disgusting, making it impossible to stay healthy locked up. Ramen noodle seasoning, ketchup, and hot sauce are used to add flavor to the bland, tasteless mush served in the cafeteria. This is the reason prisoners are forced to turn to processed food in commissary to fill up. For those of you who are new to my channel, don't forget to like the video and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to check out my deaf series as well as previous old episodes of my prison series. Okay, so nutrition. Penitentiaries are basically allowed to serve whatever they want since there's no strict federal guidelines, just general rules. These rules include nothing but adequate calories or nutritional value prisoners must receive. So this is usually regulated on a prisoner-to-prisoner basis. Little federal regulations makes inmates susceptible to diabetes and high blood pressure. Meals can be as horrendous as 2 plain hot dogs, beans, and a slice of white bread. To roast turkey, mashed potatoes, and green beans, not so bad, but keep in mind these meals probably aren't as pretty or tasteful as what you're picturing. Okay. So they said prisoners in America are fed anywhere between 2,000 to 3,000 calories daily, but most prisoners do not receive a decent amount of calories or nutrition in their meals. Federal and state prisons have known to cut meal costs and cut calories and skip on nutritional needs. Wow, people, right? Kind of sad. The average prison meal costs from 56 cents to $3. That lets you know how poor the meal is on like quality and taste and everything else. Meals are prepared a number of ways, but the most common is the blast chill method. Food can be prepared days in advance. And when the food is almost completely cooked, it is thrown into a freezer and frozen until served. Prisoners can serve food that hasn't been distributed up to 7 days after it was cooked. Would you eat it? Well, you have to, right? The reality of prison food is shocking. Is the system denying humans of their rights? In many lawsuits filed by the former inmates against the state in reference to food in prison, it should come as no surprise that the former prisoner lost the suit in almost every time. Prisoners may not deserve a 5-star meal, but they do deserve unprocessed, sustainable options that can adequately keep someone healthy while they're detained. What can you do? It's a fact that fewer prisoners mean less crime, and fewer prisoners mean money more freed up to provide better living in prison and more money to be spent elsewhere. The Sentencing Project conducted a study in New York, New Jersey, and California during 1999 and 2012. During this time, the 3 states changed their policies on admission to prison and length of stay. Admission, come on now. This study concluded that the prison population can be reduced by 25% with little or no adverse effects on public safety. The violent crime rates were reduced up to 31% in New York during this period. Although the study focused mainly on these 3 states, they aren't the only ones changing policies and downsizing prisoners. Would you like to see an improvement in the atrocity of prison conditions? What about a decline in violence? All you have to do is support the Sentencing Reform and Correction Act, which urges alternative incarceration. Just enter your name and address, and the Sentencing Project will send an email to your state senator on your behalf. It's that easy. Don't think this affects you. Just remember whose money is funding federal and state prisons across America. And that is the disgusting truth, people, behind the prison food in America. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, enjoyed hearing story time about the food in prison, and that you enjoyed seeing our friend Mr. Fox. This is the baby. Yes. Like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys on the next one.